I'm getting a very strange sense of deja vu of at least the COP in Glasgow and the COP in Egypt, where in the 11th hour, nations and negotiators are fighting to scrape out a deal. And in both cases, it took a very long time. In the case of Glasgow, the Glasgow Pact was almost an ineffectual treaty, just signaling desires of nations to do better. I'm getting a sense that we're going to end up the same way here because the funding is inadequate. The target is inadequate in terms of what is needed. And 1 trillion can be pulled together. It seems like a lot of money, as Michael has indicated. That's about 1% of the global economy. It can absolutely, developing nations can put it together. But it almost feels, what's more concerning to me is not just that we're having a hard time getting a deal together, like those 2 previous COPs we talked about, but it almost feels like we're moving backwards. Not only are we having a hard time committing to the funds that were already established in COP28, but we're also having a hard time agreeing to the language that came out of COP28, as was mentioned, in terms of commitment to transition away from fossil fuels. Think about all these developing nations we reference quite frequently when we talk about climate change, especially those island nations. Some of their economies are built on the oceans that surround them, whether we think in terms of fishing, whether we think in terms of boating, navigation, transportation. This is not just an issue that feels right to address, but even in terms of socioeconomic conditions, those island nations are also affected. And that's not even touching the fact that the biggest impact affecting the oceans because of warming that affects those particular places is this creeping sea level rise that, as of now, we have no way to halt, absent serious mitigation of emissions that affects both the atmosphere and the oceans.